Hello, this is our creation guide for the Cleric for Baldur's Gate. In all honesty, I've never done a full playthrough as a Cleric. I think it's kind of weird to play as a Cleric with the story of Baldur's Gate being what it is and with the main character being who they are in relation to the gods. With that being said, I'm excited about giving this class a try here. They have a lot of great access to armor and combat capabilities. They have a lot of good access to spells that give them the opportunity to defend themselves and to buff their party members. Even though they're not going to be necessarily at the front line as tanks or as damage dealers, and they won't have the huge variety of spells that like a mage might have, they have a lot of really great things that can help out, especially in the early game. Also, divine casters are, bar none, the best healers in the game. This is super useful throughout the entire game and ensures that your party isn't going to get stuck in a really bad situation. I'm very excited about giving the Cleric a try. For alignment, the Cleric can be any alignment. For abilities, divine spellcasting comes from wisdom, so we want to push that up as high as it will go. Then we want to aim for our constitution score to be 16 or above. I would then increase dexterity to help out with armor class, but then you have some flexibility with the other stats. You might want to put points into strength for melee combat. You want to put points into charisma to help you with personality checks. You can ignore intelligence, but I do have a warning. If you are min-maxing, I wouldn't take an intelligence score any lower than 8, especially for a character who's using wands, since you can only use wands if you have an intelligence score of 8 or higher. So clerics who can use some wands, you want to make sure that they can actually use those wands. For skills, they do get an ability called Turn Undead. This allows for clerics to do nasty things to the undead, right? If you're a good or a neutral cleric, you can scare off or obliterate the undead around them, depending on your level and what they are. Evil clerics can convert undead to their side, right? And it's very different, right? A zombie or a skeleton is going to be at a lower level than something like a vampire or a lich. I find this to be very powerful in Baldur's Gate 2. There are some people who don't really like it because it's like a tick that happens in the middle of combat, and you have to keep your cleric kind of standing there or hanging out towards the back. But I have gone through heavy undead areas, just turn undead, and waltzed through and watched undead monsters just pop and obliterate. So it's kind of a fun thing to do if you have a high powerful cleric. And considering that undead are very, very common in the Baldur's Gate series, this is a really good skill to use. For weapon proficiencies, clerics can use weapons that are blunted or spiked, but they can't use bladed or piercing weapons. So they can use flails, warhammers, maces, staves, and slings. I would strongly recommend going with one distance option and one melee option, but you do you. So clerics are the first casting class that we're looking at. And for Baldur's Gate games, there's 2 general types of magic. There's divine magic, and then there's arcane magic. Clerics are divine casters. Divine casters have 7 levels that include healing spells, individual and party buffs, controlling spells, and occasional direct damage spells. For the spells here, clerics are pretty lucky in that they don't have to go around learning new spells. Druids are the same way, by the way, when we talk about them. They have everything learned already. They just have to kind of choose what spells they're going to use every day. Their wisdom score directly connects to the number of spells that can be cast, and sometimes it's shocking how many spells they can memorize each day. Like if you have a cleric with 18 wisdom, they're going to have a huge amount of level 1, level 2 spells that they can cast every day. Clerics are the best healers in the game. Maybe with the exception of the druids, right? Because druids can get different types of healing abilities that work a little more like regeneration later on. But like all versions of D&D, I don't think that clerics should be only used as the party's quote-unquote heal bots. They should be used for any sorts of things that require crowd control, summons. There's a lot of different things that clerics can do besides just healing. The nice thing about clerics is that players are encouraged to try out different spells every day. Finally, after we're doing with spells, we're going to go to appearance and sounds to get what our character looks like. We're going to be putting a playthrough of a cleric soon, but until then, you can feel free to check out my other starter guides or my other playthroughs on my channel. Before then, you can go ahead and feel free to comment, subscribe, and spread the word. Take care and good luck. We're all counting on you.